Hello everyone, this is Jaya for the session of digitalization. Today we are going to understand what is the aspects, what is the importance of digitalization in a business module, as well as with the interesting case study dealing with QR code in a business module. So my today's first slide comprises of a scenario where there are two friends in the name of Bob and David, where Bob is using a traditional way of method in a tours and travel business, whereas David is using the digital method. So, what is the difference between these two methods and how Bob is struggling and where David is earning more and more business through this digital method? So, first we'll take the traditional method. Traditional method is always a time consumption, whereas the customer doesn't want to wait at that particular time to get his service done because the lot of time is consumed there, and nowadays the person doesn't want to wait for his service to done. As well as you can say in another words, he doesn't want to stand in a queue to make his service done. Whereas in the another hand, David is using the digital method where he's completing all the complaints, query, request of the customers on a prominent way, on a proactive way. And for that reason, the customers are coming with us more and more business for his tours and travel business. But whereas Bob is struggling more and more because he's using only traditional method, which is more and more time consumption. But on the other hand, the David is using the digital method, which is making the time less for the consumer, and he's able to furnish all the complaints query of the customer in a very proactive manner. And that's the reason David is earning more and more in his business. So my next slide comprises of the traditional method, the difference between a traditional method and digital method. So in this slide, we'll understand in traditional method, more manpower is involved, then there is more and more time consumption is there. It's a very high costing, the processing is very slow, and the chances of errors are very high. But whereas in a digital method, the less manpower is involved, less time consumption is there, a very low costing, processing is very faster, and it has a more and more accuracy in the process. That's what nowadays the people want the digital method rather than using a traditional method because digital method have many benefits rather than in traditional method because whatever we do in a digital method that doesn't take much time or manpower is used, whereas in traditional method more and more manpower is used and the time consumption is very high. And in today's era, the person doesn't want the time should be consumed so much for a particular service. That's why the people choose digital method in today's world, whether in a domestic, whether in a business world. My second slide comprises of the definition of digitalization of today's world. When we are talking about the digitalization, and it stands about in four pillars. So first is the technology, second is a data, third is a process, and last is the organizational change. So whenever you are running a business, there always a technology, but that technology always create a new or modify the existing technology so that it makes it transparent for the people, for the consumers, as well as for the business owners. In that technology, it goes with the data. So when you are running a business on an online platform, so it always have all your data on an online platform where you can do the analysis, where you can understand where your brand or the product is standing in today's world. So that is why the data is also important when you're talking about technology. So with the technology, it goes in hand the data part. Third is a process. So when you are running a business on an online platform, so you want to automate that process. So what do you understand by this automation process? That it simplifies the complexity of the business, that makes it easier for the consumers to understand the entire interface of your website or for your app, as well as for the business owners that they can serve more and more to the consumer. That's all the process requires, because the process is also very important, because it goes hand in hand, because it is developing, improvising your product or a brand in such a way that it can simplify, or it can make uh, imp- improvise that product for the consumers. And last point is an organizational change. So now you have a question in a mind why this last point is the fourth pillar of digitalization. So I give you an example. When a customer wants a particular product to be improvised, so for that improvisation you require people, you require certain aspects in your business that makes that improvisation of the product to the for the consumers. So it is a demanding point where the consumer demands the improvisation in your particular product. So that is why you have to make an organizational change in your business. You have to make the people set for that particular improvisation so that your product can improvise and you can give a better result to the consumer. That is why digitalization is standing in these four pillars, that is the technology, data, automation process, as well as the organizational change. So now we'll come to understand what is the importance of digitalization tool in a business model. So in my mind, there is the first point which comes into the mind, that is the increased efficiency. So when you are running a process or you are running the business, that it should give you, or it increases the efficiency in your process, so that the consumers are really happy with your service, with your process and everything, so that they can come and make the repeat purchases. If the efficiency is not good enough, you can't do anything. You can't make the customers happy with your brand or with your product or with your anything. So, digitalization increases the efficiency. Second point, which comes whenever you are saving the entire documents on an online platform and something happens, if your records are lost, or it is a natural disaster, or it has been stolen, or any losses happen to your particular product for your documents, you can still have the point to protect that. You still have that opportunity to retrieve that. You can fix that error. But can you imagine if these certain things happen, the document of your documents in a traditional method? You have to start from the scratch till the end. So you have to make the same document again. So what you understand, if you're making that document again, that means that it is consuming a lot of time of yours, and in that point of time you can done more other things for your business. But for this, if some disasters happen, you have to make from scratch to end, and that is what the traditional method is not useful in today's world. But in a digital tool, it's really useful. If it is lost, or if it is stolen, or it has happened anything to the document, you still have the opportunity, you still have that point to retrieve it and fix it. Third point, which comes around the importance of digital tool, is that you can retrieve the potential customer for your business. So how would you do that? That is the main point or the main idea of your business. So whenever you are running a business on an online platform, and if the customer has a query regarding a product or a brand, so if the representative of your company is helping the customer in a very proactive manner, or he is trying to help the customer in such a way that he is trying to understand what is the issue and trying to helping the customer out, that is the most important way of doing it, because this is a way the customer thinks that, okay, this person is listening to my problem, the query, yeah, whatever the complaint I have, and he or she is trying to solve it. The person will be happy, the consumer will be happy, and he will come back and back again for the repeat purchases. And what is the benefit if you are retaining those potential customer? So this will recommend, the customers will recommend your channel to the other people, and The secondly, your customer base will grow and it will give your profit growth in your business too. So that is why we, whether in any business, the consumers are really important because they can give you the good amount of business by doing repeat purchases, or you must be having a good customer base so that you have a lot of purchases in a business too. But the main thing, the service of your business should be very proactive, should have a good efficiency, should have try to solve the query of the people at that point of time. So this is the importance of 3 points which comes into the mind, that is increasing the efficiency, secure docs, and third would be the retaining of the potential customers. So now we come to the examples of digitalization. When we are talking about examples of digitalization, so many things comes in a mind. And nowadays, the people play games on an online platform. Earlier, it was that we have a traditional way to play cards, or whenever we try to means any times the digital tool was not that much way to have those online games where we can play it. Even if we are single player, we can play it online. But nowadays, they have created so many online games in over this era that the person who's sitting there, then they can play in as a single player, they can play as a multiple players. But it is really easy that if you're sitting at a home, you can play that game. Or if you're surfing in an internet cafe, you can do that over there also. You can play the games. That makes it easier. You can continue those games in an internet cafe as well as at home. But these examples are not available in traditional way, and you can't do that. You can apply that, but in a digital tool many things can be applied. If you have a computer or if you're surfing in the internet, these things can be easy accessible, and you can create an account and you can just play along it. So that's why it is really important to have a digital tool, whether it is in a domestic life, whether it is in a business life. Because when you are talking about this, so the payments are also happening in such a way that you don't have to carry wallet every time. You have your wallet on an online on your smartphones, and you can purchase any items whenever you require, so you don't have to carry the hard cash. And that is what the beauty of the digitalization tool in a business module as well as in a domestic life. So, what is now my second slide comprises of what is the advantage of digitalization. When we are talking about the advantages of digitalization, it summarizes of the slides which I have explained. That is, first is the time saving. That is when you are not traveling from one place to another for certain things. Second is the cost saving, when you're sitting at a home and you are just trying to purchase any item or somewhere, and whether you are sitting in an office or at home, you're not traveling, that it makes in cost saving. Third is the accuracy, which I told that digital tool increases the accuracy in the process for both the consumers as well as for the business owners. Easy distribution, whenever the person has to give any distribution, any information about the company or the brand or the product, he can do it easily in the social media pages like in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Anywhere he can put that blog, and the person, and it can attend the attentions of the consumers. Fourth is a secured. That is, the documents are secured in an online platform. If it is stolen or it has any disaster to happen, you can still have the point to retrieve it. And increase of profit. That means that if you are retrieving the potential customers for your business, then you have your repeat purchases in your channel and your business have a growth, and it can increase the customer base as well. That is what comprises the advantage of digital tool in today's world. And in other case in which the traditional method is not really useful, if you're trying to make a useful in today's world, because nowadays everybody is digital, everybody wants to be in a digital mode. Nobody wants that he or she wants to stand in a queue and wait for a service to be done. That is what the digitalization topic is, and it's an important and essential uh, tool for a business module. So now we have come to an end of a case study, which is dealing with the QR codes. Everybody in today's world know about what is a QR code, and it is a basically when you use a QR code, you get a lot of options, whether it is a detailed information about the product or the purchase of the product, or any information is captured in this small image, which we called as a QR code. So today's case study, which we are dealing today, is an online. Is it in automobile industry? You all love automobiles because many people would be having cars. Many people would be having bicycle or motorcycles, anything. So the first point which comes into the mind, what does actually QR code does in automobile industry? So the QR code is directed the user to the web page displaying how to cut each vehicle type or the origin or what is the car components. Each and every information is embedded in that QR code. So it can have, because from this QR code, the user can retrieve the information such as countries, such as safety measures, such as troubleshooting, and even the car parts to stay abreast of the product updates as well. Means that QR code, when it is what actually QR code helps in an automobile industry to save all these factors in this small image. That means it can give you all the detailed information of the particular brand of the car you are looking for, or you are trying to buy a particular brand for it. So I have a couple of points, or you can say it's a couple of uses of QR code in a automobile industry. First point which comes in my mind is vehicle identification and registration. So you all go through the scenario whenever you're traveling somewhere and your vehicle is suddenly stopped by a policeman. So what does come in your mind? Okay, the police want to understand this about your car registration and identification. So if we do it in a traditional way, it takes a lot of time of the consumers as well as the authorities, local authorities who are there, who are stopping your vehicle. So what is the rescue part in it? And when you do it in a traditional way of method, there are a lot of errors while you are checking the papers of that particular consumer for the identification register. What is the main part which rescue your this point where your time is saved for both the parties? So my answer would be the QR code. If the QR code is embedded in your vehicle, that it helps to the means it helps to combat that fraud or the duplication of the docs. It tries to give you the instant access of the information of the vehicle registration and the identification for the consumers, as well as the local authorities would make no such errors while scrutiny all the documents for the consumer. So that is why the QR code is really important for the vehicle registration or the identification, because it saves a lot of time of the consumers and the officials to check through it. If it is embedded, you can get all the information and there are no chance of duplication. Secondly, it has no chance of fraud as well. Second is the identification of the car components. So that is also a main point when you are talking. Many people are having some automobile industry and These points can be useful because these are a couple of points which comes in my mind that can be helpful. You can apply it in your business as well. So identification of the car components, which is the second point, I think it's a really important in an automobile manufacturing process. The identification of the components should be accurate. Why? Because each part of the vehicle has a specific dimension, the functionality. So this is the main point. When it is to be done this, when it is done, when these type of details are done in a traditional way of method, it has a lot of errors. To avoid these type of errors, the QR code can be used to track and identify those car components in the automobile industry in a very accurate manner. So that is why the QR codes can be embedded in the authorized so that the vehicle with the respective data is always embedded into it. That is why the identification when you are doing in a traditional way of method. So there are a lot of errors, there are duplication, there are many errors. But while doing that with the QR code, you can track the data, you have all the information about that particular component because all the components have a different functionality, different dimensions when it is using in a cars. Third point in today's world, when you're buying the car, the point which comes into your mind is the ensure of the passenger's safety. You all know when you buy a car, so this is the most important thing when you're talking about when you're purchasing a car or something. So the passenger safety is the utmost importance to the automobile industry. So ensuring these passenger safety during the crash is a primary. Whenever you have a crash when you bought the car and you have a crash in the initial stages, so there is a team is a in an automobile industry. It is a rescue team, what we call it, for vehicle owners to learn about this info. So at that point of time in a crash, so how would the vehicle owners learn about it? So they have to scan that QR code so that that notification goes to the rescue team, and then they're able to take the action where that car actually is. The rescue team get the data about the vehicle, where it is there and where the crash has happened, and he can also try to help the vehicle owner. So that is what the safety measures are really important for the passengers, because in that particular code it is many information is given, like the origin, safety measure, car parts, troubleshoot, which I have told. These points are always embedded when the vehicle owners scan it and the notification goes to the rescue team that okay, there is some crashes happen, and how they can help it and how they can rescue the owner of the vehicle. So this is the another important point. You can make that, you can customize that QR code for your potential customers so that you have a good impression on it for your service. Fourth point is the most common, to track the inventory. Everybody having a different models, or when you go to a shop dealer or you go to an authorized dealers, everybody has different. Uh, if you go to a particular dealer, they have the particular models, particular cars they have. So how would you think that they'll track those entries? Because there are a lot of cars in the particular company with the different modules, with the different serial numbers. So with this aid of QR code for this inventory part, automobile manufacturer can monitor their inventory levels. So like tracking process, build, assemble. So these are the points how they track the inventory of their particular vehicles. Because in a manufacturing, in automobile manufacturing system, there are a lot of cars are being built. So they already have a different serial numbers. So it is very difficult in a traditional way to track it. But in a digital, with this aid, with the aid of a QR code, you can track it through the process, manufacturing process time, then the build assembly. according to with the material, even you can collect the real time data for the same. So, in an automobile warehouse, employee can simply use their smartphones and tablets to scan the QR codes and track the manufacturing process and even fill the forms through various stages. So, this is what is important when you are tracking the inventory of those cars in a warehouse. The people can use their smartphone and tablets, and that is why the digital tool comes in and plays an important part into it to make that happen, to simplify the entire process with this QR code. So they don't have to waste so much of time. They can just scan it and get all the details which they require for their inventory to be updated. My second point, which I think it's also important to how to sell your vehicle smoothly. So everybody has in every business they want that to sell their product in a very simpler way. So say if you deal in cars or get many potential customer in your showroom every day, they check out the cars, they try to ask the specifications to you. So what uh, points which comes in your mind that to make it simpler for the consumer to sell your product? So in my mind there are two points which comprises of QR code which makes the selling part of the automobiles easy. So first you can create a QR code of the vehicle and which is near to the and place it near to the automobile. When scan this QR code, it will take the user to the web page and it will give the detailed image. So wherever the your model or your car is standing, you can put it the QR code over there. And when the consumer comes, he or she can scan it and it will land to the web page where he or she can get the detailed information of that particular model. Secondly, it can bring up with the pop-up where uh, user needs to enter his info. Whenever he scans it, he gets a detailed information, and then uh, you can put it as a pop-up where he has to fill up his contact information like contact or his name, so that it can also help in generating the leads. And as well, whenever the consumer is buying your product with that particular code, you can attach that feedback form where the customer can give a feedback while checking through it or while purchasing it. You can understand what the consumer needs from your showroom or with your product, or he requires some other things or not. So you can get a clear picture while attaching that feedback form. So in this way, you can get the lead generation part as well as the feedback from the consumer that how he is liking your product or the showroom as well. So my last point, which comprises, which is really important, who are not having a good showroom or something. So my point comprises of mobile web page, QR code for the automobile information. So uh, I could explain in this way that if your company does not have a website for marketing automobiles, let's say because many people doesn't have so much of money to build up a showroom and do a marketing stuff, but if your a company doesn't have, and if you are a private seller, what is the best alternative you think that you can make this work for your marketing tool? So when you are talking about this, so when you are trying to purchase a domain or something, so it is pretty much expensive for you. But what is the alternative? What you can suggest for it by using this mobile website through QR code? While creating this QR code in a mobile web page, you can own a web page where you can optimize with the which can be optimized by the mobile devices. It doesn't have to work for a domain or it doesn't have to work on a laptop. You can also see it on your mobile devices. But you need to learn how to program it, how to code it, so that You can generate a QR code for your mobile web page and enter all the necessary information about your products. So it can be registration product, the points which you can enter through the QR code. It could be registration process, price, maintenance schedule, documents to carry while purchasing it, and the contact details of the salesperson. What this is what actually every showroom does. And if you are a private seller, these points are really important when you have opened your private mobile web page, and where the person nowadays the person thinks it's very handy because everybody is having the smartphones. Everybody wants it to serve it on a mobile phone instead of carrying a laptop and serving for it. So I think this is also a very important point for the private sellers, can own a mobile web page through a QR code. So I think that covers up the entire, not the entire, but a part of the automobile industry where these points are really important when you are talking about. So, what is the takeaway in this case study is the vehicle identification and registration, the identification of car components, the ensure of passenger safety, then the track inventory, how to sell your models or your products smoothly to the consumer, and lastly, how to own a mobile web page if you are a private seller in an automobile industry. So these are the points which makes your business a really profitable. If you use that QR code, you can embed it all type of information about your product. And for the private seller, they can own a web page where you can try to help your consumers to get through it. And the most important, if the service is good, the customer will come back again and again for for the repeat purchases. So I represent UX Living Lab, which is a market research company, and we used to deal with the customer insight. We try to innovate. We try to give a strategy how to build up your product or how to build up your brand in today's market situation, and we always try to help you in such a way so that your business grow. So this customer feedback goes with the QR code types. Why? Because my case studies are always dealing with the QR code because QR code is really important. It's an essential tool for your business as well as in the domestic life also. So in our company, it's the creation of the QR code is really easy. You just fill up your name and your email ID, and your QR code is generated. And through this, you can understand our services. If you want anything to be explained to you about the service, about the products, you can just have to schedule a meeting with us, and we are open to help you out with this. So that is what we do. We innovate, we do the strategy for your brand and product. We try to help you out. We take the customer insight to understand where your product or the brand is standing in today's market situation. And if you have further questions regarding the pricing, regarding the features, regarding anything, you can just, I'll be providing the calendar link where you can just book a date and a time, and we will be available to help you out. And secondly, you can just visit to our website also. That also I'll be trying to mention you out, and then you understand what is this company actually about. But we will also try to help you out if you give us a meeting, if you have the thing to get in touch with us, so that it will be easier to make you understand the entire process, what we do and how it works for you people. So that is what UX Living Lab is. That is what the case study about the automobile industry. If you have any suggestion about any case study which you want that I should explain it, just let me know so that I can prepare the same for you. Thank you guys for joining the session.